2025. When I was growing up, 2025 was post-apocalyptic. Anyway, we're in it now. All right, let me put my coffee down here. So I said this isn't really a New Year's resolution video because, well, it's mid-January by now. But by all common definitions of New Year's resolutions, it's probably a New Year's resolution video, and that's okay. It's a little late. I'm a little late to the party. I wanted to film outside, but it has been so cold in New York City, and that's coming from me, a Canadian who's used to it, although you never really get used to a certain level of cold. Anyway, January, and I thought this was interesting because I want to just read this little paragraph from this article in the New York Times. Yeah, I'm that guy, but this says something that I believed for a long time, and I'm going to tell you, and I'll read it, and I'll tell you why. So this is from Rachel Feinstein in the Sunday Times, How to Make It to January 31st Without Losing Your Mind. I'd like to put forth January as the worst month of the year. February requires you to trudge through only 28 or so frigid days with the promise of spring on the other side. December had parties and procrastination and excuses to suspend conventions like meals per day, third dinner, and portion size, a cocktail fit for Ina Garten. In January, you're staring down 31 bleak days, the legal limit, with no hope of turning things around anytime soon. I used to hate January for all the reasons that Rachel Feinstein outlines there. It's too long of a month, it's cold, I don't want to be social, you're kind of in that post-Christmas holiday season hangover. I generally didn't like setting goals or New Year's resolutions because I, like probably many of you, end up failing at them, and I don't like the feeling of failing. I, in my natural state, revert to the feeling of not trying, therefore not failing. But then in the not trying, you end up resenting that you're not going anywhere, you're not moving forward. You look back at the year and nothing's changed. And I think I hate that feeling more than I hate the feeling of trying something and failing. January is no longer my most dreaded month. I sort of appreciate a time to, think about the future, think about the next year, think about the things that are upcoming, and just be full of optimism and positivity. And for the first time in 2025, of so many Januaries, probably dating back to maybe 2018, so this goes back now 7 Januaries, I'm feeling a little bit more settled. Life in New York, we're settling in here. There's no further immigration process looming over our head. We're not waiting on an answer for anything. Not being in some sort of government process, whether it was first for myself and then for my son. Knowing that our paperwork is all settled, especially with the potential of an incoming administration that's threatening mass deportations. It would have really been sad to deport my son back to Canada because I'm staying here. As I was thinking about this year, for some reason, this image of a tree or this analogy or metaphor of a tree kind of came to my head. And I think the reason was because I think of a tree as something that grows tall, that spreads wide, that provides shelter, food, that bears fruit, that it can provide shade. So it serves many functions in support of the life and ecosystem around it. So, I, in this apartment, have life to support. I have an ecosystem. I've got this dog that's constantly sleeping, but he needs walking, he needs food. My son obviously needs care. He needs to learn. He needs discipline. He needs all these different things to turn him into the man that he needs to become. And then, my wife, obviously there's support, and there's, all kinds of different types of support that I need to provide her. There's like three parts of a tree that I think, sort of cover all of the things that I want to do. And one of the things, first thing is roots. And it all starts at the roots. And the roots for me is rediscovering the things that have made me who I am, or have made me the parts of me that I love the most. That, for whatever reason through life, you kind of disconnect and you sort of have to prioritize different things at different moments in your life. And, at certain points, you lose sight of the things that you love, the things that make you laugh, the things that made you smile, the things that just bring you joy and give you energy and life. Because when I look at my son and I look at, his imagination just running wild, and the play, the joy that he gets out of just playing and imagining and doing all these different things, it's like, I don't want him to ever lose that. Those are the kind of things that like I want to pass on to him. So what are the things that I am going to do to sort of reconnect with my inner child, or that little boy that made me into the man that I am today? I want to go to the movies again. I used to love going to the movies. And Netflix and it's just not it. Like streaming services, they're just not it. It's not the same. Film people will always act very romantic about the idea of seeing a movie in a room full of strangers. And, I was like, whatever, you see a movie, whether it's with people or not. The important thing is that somebody sees your movie. But, for myself, I'm starting to feel like I do need some of that community and congregation within a group. The other thing is I want to re-engage my mind in a creative way. And there's two things that I loved to do, things that I was okay at, but I never really put in a lot of work to really feed that as much as I would have liked. And one of those things is photography. Obviously being a vlogger, I'm out and about in the streets with a camera all the time. I've got a camera in my pocket, as you do as well with your phone. But just walking out the door with nothing but a camera with the intention of just capturing photography, taking photos, life on the streets, my life, So I've tried to do that a lot more and be more intentional about taking photos of my son. But I want to get out there and just, I don't know how long my time in New York is going to be, but I want to just capture as much of the spirit and vibe of this city through my eyes as I can. So photography is one. Cooking new recipes. I feel like since I moved to New York, I haven't really engaged a ton in cooking, which I love cooking. I love it. But I have to feel a certain type of way. There's a certain like vibe or whatever, but it's just like, what, forget it. I don't need inspiration. I don't need to find a crazy new recipe. I just need to cook food that I want to eat and just enjoy it, and watch my family enjoy it, or watch my son throw it across the room, whichever the case may be. To go back to the tree analogy, the next thing is the stem or the trunk. This is sort of now like you have a foundation of yourself, and now you're trying to reach higher and you're trying to get vertical growth. The way I define like stem or like the trunk phase of this metaphor for this year is take tangible steps, strengthen foundational elements of myself physically, mentally, and spiritually, so that I may be a better husband, father, brother, son, and friend. So yeah, some of those things, some of the things that are included in that list is, try something that terrifies me. Try something that I've always said I wanted to do, but scares the living daylights out of me. And this doesn't have to be a like physically dangerous activity like skydiving or whatever. Like something like finally finishing a script and pitching it to somebody, or finally creating something and putting it out into the world. These things are kind of scary. The next thing is writing again. And I think every time I sit down and just log my thoughts and capture my mental state at a moment in time, I feel better for it afterwards. And I think I want to capture that feeling more often and more consistently. And also then have a, some sort of log of my of my life beyond, just what I do here on YouTube or what I do at work, and who I am in those in between moments and in between stages. I think would be something for my own clarity. Read and finish books. So I am in the last 200 pages of 100 Years of Solitude. And I'm reading it in Spanish because I thought it would be cool to actually read a novel in Spanish, which is something I've never done. 100 Years of Solitude is a different kind of book. So maybe it was I jumped a little bit in the deep end as far as reading a Spanish novel. But now I want to finish it because they finally made a series of it on Netflix, and I've been refraining from watching it until I read the entire story. I started that book during our trip to Italy in 2021. So 4 years ago almost, it's taken me to read this book. Hopefully it doesn't take 100 Years of Solitude to read 100 Years of Solitude. But I do want to become a more regular reader. So for me, that means just setting a little bit more time and being more intentional with some free time, where normally maybe an hour would go to PlayStation. Maybe I can split that and do 30 minutes of reading and 30 minutes of FIFA. However it works out, I think getting into that habit and just building that muscle memory of daily reading is something I want to go. Reconnect with my faith is on this section, because not that I have lost my faith or haven't, but you become cynical, as I've said, or I've become cynical, and it's hard for me to just engage with my faith. And I think that the times that I do earnestly, read a book from the Bible or read a verse from the Bible, or over Christmas I was doing a Christmas themed devotional that kind of goes through the story of Christmas and Christ and the reason for his. So it was a very foundational part of Christianity that I was just going through, and it felt like it did feel like, wow, this really does energize me. It feeds my soul. It feeds a part of me that nothing else does. But it's a muscle, again, like everything else, that if you don't exercise it, you're going to lose it. And it's not something I ever want to disengage from. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I owe you guys a more thorough video on, Christianity or faith as I see it, because I feel like I've alluded to it here and there in various videos. And I feel like you guys let me know if that's something that you would like me to sort of explain where I'm coming from and how faith sort of informs my life in different ways. Okay, go to therapy. So we're talking about physical, mental, spiritual therapy. There's a lot of things that sort of come up in relationships, that come up in our marriage, that come up in just day-to-day life, that, at the end of the day, I'm not always proud of. And I'm like, wow, I don't like the way I reacted there. I don't like a certain behavior or a certain pattern that I'm repeating, or a pattern that's now, being passed on and on to my son. I don't want, my issues, my shortcomings mentally to become his issues, his shortcomings. And I don't want to pass that on to him. I want him to just have only the best of who his dad is. And I'm going to screw up. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to be perfect. Therapy isn't the end all be all. I think in conjunction with all of the other things that I'm trying to do to sort of improve myself and grow as a person, I think that's just one piece of the puzzle. So that is that. Yeah. And then, we've covered mental, spiritual, physical. I just have to be active. And I'm realizing that now. I think I've known it for a while, but as the opportunities for physical activity become less and less in like a busy day when you're in the corporate world, and I need that. I need a physical outlet, whether that's going to the gym, whether that's riding my bike, swimming in the summer, all these things. I need a physical activity to release stress, to just stay active for my own health. And physical activity is often seen as like something to like physical fitness. But I think exercise and physical activity is as much about physical fitness as it is about mental fitness. Physical activity 3 times a week. I need that. I need that for not just for my body. I need that for my mind. I need that for my soul. I think we're all interconnected beings, and the way I see it, like not doing physical activity and working on your mind and working on your spiritual life is like skipping leg day. So you're gonna be strong in other areas, but you're gonna be unbalanced. I played baseball last summer competitively, and my batting average was atrocious. So that's one of the things that I want to definitely improve upon this year. I think I was batting under 200 for the season. I started off pretty good, but then like dropped off as the season went off. So I'm not happy about that. I'm aiming for at least a 300 and above batting average this season. So I'll keep you posted on that. 300 is my goal. 350 would be great. So I'm trying to get physical. I'm trying to improve my flexibility, improve my mobility, so that my swing is natural, so that I can improve my reaction times. All these things that go into having a good swing. The last aspect is like we've got the foundation, the roots. We're growing up as a stem, and now we want to branch out. We want to bear fruit. And this is where you're providing a holistic ecosystem where you can provide shade for others. I want to invest in my relationships. I want to create a safe place for the people who I love, the people who know me, the people who I'm friends with, to be able to talk to me and come to me with anything. And I hope that somewhere out there, my friends are doing the same thing, so that we can talk and have a lot of really great friends and great relationships around the world. And that's great. And I feel like those are foundational friendships and relationships that are forged, that are always going to be there for me. But then the other thing is like, I feel pretty alone in New York. And, it's now like I have met a few acquaintances and some teammates here in New York City. And now it's just like, all right, let's start investing and start taking those relationships to the friendship level. And then the very last thing is, I want to provide shade, safety, coverage for the people in my immediate proximity, so the people closest to me. But I also want to keep reaching out and branching out and at a community level, be more involved in some sort of volunteering effort. New York City is an amazing place, but it's also not without its challenges, with its disparities. If I'm doing everything else well, and even if I'm not, I think I'm at a healthy enough place in my life where in some aspect I'm able to give back and help somebody else who needs it. So as much as maybe I'm growing and moving vertically, I'll always be unbalanced unless I'm also growing horizontally and reaching out to my community, to my city. And I think that's just something that comes from just my upbringing and just wanting to make sure that the same hands, the same help that was maybe extended to myself and my family over the years is something that now I'm in a position to be able to help and lend a hand, whether that's with mentorship, some sort of food program, like whatever it is. I'm looking for an opportunity where it's like, okay, this is where I fit in, and this is how I can make sure I'm contributing to the health, not just of myself, but of the city and the community in which I live. And that's it. That's really it. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but I think generally the goal is to grow in every direction, and that means have a more solid foundation of myself, be content and happy with the person that I am, while also reaching up to grow taller and while also like reaching up to extend beyond who I am today, to be a bigger, better person tomorrow. And then also extending my arms out wide to help those around me in whatever proximity that, the Lord allows me, or like whatever proximity I am able to provide a helping hand. So all of those things to say, happy belated New Year. I know this is late. Cheers to a 2025.